ring, and just one finger at a time. I'm gonna go to the side. Car accident, crushing a vertebra. Let's do some of these PT exercises that I keep talking about. I'm gonna start with the simplest way. I worked out my forearms quite a bit yesterday. Climbed enough on edges and worked out enough on edges that today is just for recovery and strengthening connective tissue. So I got this exercise band. It's light exercise band, nothing too heavy. So one of the best ways that I like to do my PT is just using a tension block. Start with 10 mils and just kind of just pull. Using a full crimp, I'm just pulling and pulsing a little bit. Let's do that a few times. Pull and pulse. Mostly work on the 10s. It's comfortable for me. The 20s, I feel like they catch me at that crease in the knuckle that I just do not enjoy. There we go. Should feel that tendon stretching. Should not be feeling any kind of burn in the forearm at all. Keeping the thumb off, just little tiny pulses. Increase the intensity a little bit. Definitely nothing that I can't control. Okay, so this is the simplest way of doing the PT. But I got a better method. Something that I think works a little bit better. It's a little bit more time consuming, but okay, the other way, I use a wooden ring. I call it the Enigma ring. Why? Because I make it. Nothing fancy though. You can probably use a sling or anything else that you can use to grip with one finger. I just make this. When I make my Enigma grips, I have some leftover wood and I can construct one of these. I like the way it feels. Now this is going to be PT for one finger at a time. I'm going to put it snugly around that first pad. Initially, I'm just going to pull open hand, just one finger at a time. I'm going to pull, we're going to close that fist. Now the reason why this works better than the block, I think, is because you're able to really isolate your fingers and control how much pressure you put on each finger. Whereas with the other one, it kind of limits you some. Say you have one finger that's slightly injured or that's been overused more. You can let off on that finger, or sometimes even apply a little bit more pressure if need be. This really allows you to strengthen your pinkies as well. And look, really, these PT exercises, they go for anybody. But they especially are important for people that have weak finger strength, like me. Because we need every little advantage. So we're gonna pull, open finger, one at a time. It's a rather interesting story of how I came up with this. It's about 3 years ago. Okay, I'll tell you the story in just a second. So after we're done pulling open finger, we're gonna go to about maybe halfway, a little bit more than halfway on the first pad there, and we're gonna crimp one finger at a time. Crimp. We're gonna just pull just enough to feel the tension. Keep in mind, we're not training muscular strength, although you can like this as well, but that's not the goal for today. Ring finger crimp. And make sure you do the pinky crimp as well. Strengthen everything. Okay. Other hand. We'll just keep doing this. Now, as long as you don't increase the intensity, you can do these twice a day even. Yeah, it feels good. Feels good. Oh, yeah, get this pinky nice and crimped. Oh, yeah. All right. Next movement. This one's strange, but I like doing strange exercises. So I'm just gonna go to the side. It's gonna stretch my finger outwards like this. And that's it. That's all I want. This really strengthens these fingers in that kind of awkward movement where you encounter in climbing sometimes. Instead of getting injured, your fingers have a better chance of being able to withstand the kind of awkward pressure. Just a different plane of action than a usual kind of training, so it's trying to build up as much strength as possible in all kinds of movements. That way, we're protected from injury and we have more tools to use. The most difficult thing about these PT exercises is to actually do them. I slack off on these. Everybody slacks off on these. But as long as you know them, and as long as you start incorporating them, it will benefit you, even if you're not doing it on a daily basis. Oh yeah. It's a little bit time consuming though. You feel like you're not doing much, but it makes a difference. Oh yeah, that finger, it's got something. Okay, then crimp again. Crimp. This is a good way to warm up also at the crag before you go climbing. Crimp with the pinky. Good. Other hand. All right, so the story. I'll try to make it quick. About 3 years ago, me and my friend were gonna go train at Horseshoe Canyon Ranch. On that first day of training, we hadn't even arrived yet. I think we're maybe only an hour away from the place. We get in a car accident. I was the passenger, my friend was driving. It was not his fault. Nothing he could have done to stop. I was in a bad position in the back seats, and I ended up crushing a vertebra or a vertebral disc back here and fracturing a vertebra. Next morning in Arkansas, they had to do emergency surgery on my neck and fuse those two vertebrae. So now I have a titanium plate back there with 4 giant screws. The way that relates to these exercises is that the doctors told me I cannot lift more than 20 pounds for a very long time, for months basically. That was fine with me because I couldn't lift crap. But after that first week though, I realized I needed to start doing something because I can't lose my finger strength. It's my biggest weakness in climbing, and if I lose that, then I really am screwed. There's no way I could go for months without training my fingers. So then I started training my fingers one at a time. At first, I would just walk up to the campus board or campus rungs and just hang my arm weight on my finger. After a while, I would put weights around my forearm and I would hang with that, just one finger at a time, different positions. Eventually, I just set up a pulley system and I would pull 20, 25 pounds, one finger at a time, just doing these exercises. And not for PT, but to actually strengthen those little finger muscles. Well, not exactly finger muscles, forearm muscles. So, and that's how I got started doing this. I realized that it did help to single out my weakest fingers, get them to catch up with the other ones. And ever since then, I've been doing these, maybe not as much as I need to, but for the most part, it's been a consistent part of my training. Yeah. Okay, let's do more open finger pulls. And it's just gonna take a bit of trial and error to know exactly how much pressure you need to exert on your fingers, because it is gonna be different for everybody. You'll know by how fatigued you get. If this is adding additional fatigue to your training, then you're doing it too hard. This should not be adding fatigue to your training. All right, last thing, I like to do the thumbs. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna put a little bit more pressure on the thumbs because they're usually not worked out like this anyway. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Good stuff, good stuff. Yeah, I mean, you can make this really small, the ring with a band, and just stick it in your bag and do these. Okay, well, I'm gonna go get some coffee, and next we're gonna do an upper body workout. Definitely some shoulders, chest, triceps, and biceps. Not gonna overdo it, but we're gonna do something.